personally and in the band, I come from Santiago, from Chile, and like Paulo and Rodrigo, grew up listening to a lot of folk stuff from South America, not just from my country, but from Latin America in general, along with rock and roll and classic stuff around the 70s and 80s. It was very diverse, and I think that in its own was one thing, and then moved to Chicago later in life and started listening to hip hop back in the early 90s, got back into metal late 90s when System of a Down was coming out, Roots, just all these things. And I think the fact that it was so just jumbled and all over the place kind of helped bleed into this other amalgamation of rhythms and just different things that, you know, we've done.
I grew up mostly listening to hardcore and punk. I evolved into metal a little bit later. But yeah, like Bruno said, well said, we, you know, in our households, it was probably music all the time, and, you know, listening to most of the South American music that, you know, most people from where we are listen to. So yeah, that's Bruno already kind of hit that background. But for me particularly, it was the punk and hardcore first, fast music in general, then thrash metal, and then, you know, grindcore. Then I started slowing things down as I, you know, got older.
I grew up listening to basically the same music as these guys, as far as South American music goes, or Latin music and salsa and all that stuff. So that was always playing at my house. My father was a big classic rock guy and listened to all the prog stuff too, you know, Pink Floyd, King Crimson and all that. And then when I was a teenager, I think I started listening to all the like grunge stuff, like Alice in Chains, Nirvana, Melvins, or whatever. And then at some point that I transitioned into heavier music, metal, and then I stepped away from that for a few years and went back to just listening like strictly to Latin music, whatever that means. And at some point I went back to the heavier stuff and kind of rediscovered what I'd been missing out on, and got into a lot of the post-metal stuff.
I think the first music I fell in love with when I was a young teenager, 13, 14, was heavy metal. I mean, it was System of a Down, really. That was the first thing I learned to love. And then from there, it wasn't really a hard leap to go to like 70s prog or like the Mars Volta or Primus or something, because like System is really kind of like a hub between a lot of different genres of music. So it got me kind of tuned for heavier styles, but still open-minded to everything else around me. So yeah, from that point on, I just kind of went in many different directions, but still just kind of live in the heavy space. Like I can't stop. That's what I'm best at, and it's what I love most. So
didn't particularly have a super musical household, but for some reason, like, you know, early like Metallica, and fortunately I was fortunate enough to grow up in the 90s, so I was exposed, you know, to all the grunge stuff from Soundgarden to Nirvana, Smashing Pumpkins, and all those things, and for some reason it just spoke to me. And then obviously, like Rodrigo, as I've gotten older, I've kind of, you know, started listening to a lot of things that are on the opposite side of the spectrum as well, like super chill music like Radiohead and things like that. It's just stuff that's more melodic. And also, yeah, I guess another common thread is Mars Volta. That kind of ruined music for me for a while. I was like, nothing else is good. I was like, why can't I listen to anything else right now? But yeah, you know, I'm always listening to all kinds of different things, which is basically the rest of the guys are the same way.